Products in this video were provided to the author to do a review. All opinions are 100% authors and authors alone.
Hello my friends, Iggy back again. So today we're going to discuss the benchmark results and the overall usage of the budget build we built a little while ago. If you haven't seen it before, I'll go ahead and link it up above. But we're going to discuss preliminary benchmarks, and then we're going to go over more in-depth benchmarks because we did a bit of an update. So let's go ahead and discuss first off 3D Mark Firestrike. Alright, so we can see we got a score of 2,512 overall. I'm not going to go into the results too much more than that. It says better than 10% of results, so not horrible, not the best. So let's just go ahead and jump over to TimesBy. In TimesBy, we got a very low score of 922, only 3% above. Not the greatest, but just wait. There is some more on this. There is a discovery. So jumping over to Metro Exodus. Okay, so that was absolutely the worst game in this benchmark. So we can see we got, on the average, which is really the one that counts the most, we only got a horrible 27 frames per second. On the minimum, we got a 16 frames per second, not great at all. On Tomb Raider, you see here, these are all the average scores. The lowest one is 24.93, but actually while I was playing it, it was slightly above 30 frames per second, and I don't know if because it's a console port, but it was perfectly playable. But anyway, so now we're going to jump over to Cinebench. And this is where I found the problem. And it was blowing me away that this performed so horribly. I scored a 929 CB. But I realized as it was going through its benchmark, instead of 4 little blocks filling each other out, there was only 3 little blocks. And I was going nuts. And I went through the BIOS. I couldn't figure out why only 3 cores were coming through. Gigabyte's website, I downloaded all the drivers, updated to the latest BIOS and everything before I started benchmarking. And I couldn't figure out why this was going on. So then I started going through all over AMD's website, trying to, maybe there's something I missed, maybe something Gigabyte missed. AMD Ryzen Master. I installed it. I didn't overclock anything, but I installed it. And then I ran Cinebench, bam, the 4th core popped up. And then we got to the good part in the benchmark. So let me jump over to where everything was working. So we'll start off on Firestrike. Firestrike, now we got 2,657 overall, and we got 10% above other results. So unfortunately, not much better there. So on TimesBy, we scored a 968. Sadly, still not great there. Yeah, so honestly, there is no reason for me to continue on that because all the scores were horrible. Actually, one thing that was better was Cinebench. You can see here we scored 1,308 CB. Beautiful. Now, even though I said I'm not really entering this into the review. I was honestly doing testing. You can see here I overclocked to 3.74 gigahertz, and then we went up about 60 something CB there, so the performance did improve. Now, the reason I don't want to overclock it is because that means I need to support it forever. Now, if it's my machine, I'll overclock it, that's fine, something happens, I could do it right then and there. But because I'm giving it to my friend, I don't want something to happen to it, and all of a sudden she has to wait for me to be able to come over to the house. That's pretty bad. No matter how stable the overclock is, something might happen, and I don't want to do that. But anyway, so here is where things got a little bit better. Alright, so you can see here, I actually added a video card, and that's why the price went up just a little bit, still under $600, so that is pretty awesome. I added in here the Sapphire Pulse RX 550, and it made a world of difference. I mean, mind you, not 80% improvement, but in some cases there was actually 50% improvement. So let's go ahead and discuss those scores real quick. All right, so then going over some scores, we can see on 3D Mark Firestrike, every single score with the RX 550 came up above. Overall, there was a 39% increase in performance, and of course with that, there was a 14% increase in maximum power consumption, while on average, it consumed 39% more power than off of the CPU. All right, so moving on, we can see here the overall score. We can see that previously it scored 10% better than all results, and now it's scoring 15% better than all results. So definitely, we're seeing some improvement there. And mind you, this is to be expected, but I just wanted to give you a bit of an idea on that. Okay, so moving on to 3D Mark Time Spy, a little bit different here. We can see the overall score was 29.50% improved with the RX 550. The graphics score was 31.33%. Now on the CPU score, the RX Vega scored 2.37% higher than with the RX 550. Not a ton, but still a little bit higher. Going back though, on the graphics test number 1, the RX 550 benefited by 31.73% above the on-die Vega 8. And then again on graphics test number 2, the results were also higher by 31.21%. Going back down, on the CPU test, the final CPU test, the Vega 8 scored 2.35% higher than the RX 550. So there is a little give and take, but overall the RX 550 did score higher. Okay, and so then here we can see the overall results were 10% on the Vega 8 and then 15% on the RX 550. So definitely an improvement there. Okay, so let's move on to Metro. Now Metro still was completely unplayable. Now mind you, at the points where it peaked, it was a little bit more playable at 61%, but that's the peak. So, you know, the fact that you can hit there is great, but it's not going to stay there. The average frame rate did improve by 36.36%. The max frame rate, as I mentioned, improved by 39.22%. At its lowest point, it improved by 40%, which is great. You know, it means that at its lowest, it's going to benefit by 40%, but still not playable whatsoever. With this, we did see a 20% increase in heat from 56 degrees up to 69 degrees. Being now that we have the video card, there was a 25.58% increase in maximum power consumption. On average, it consumed 62.5% more power. Your electricity bill is going to be affected, but honestly, not by much. So then in PC Mark, I'm not going to break it down by every single score because we'll be here forever, but there was a 2.94% improvement. Pretty decent, right? So with the RX 550, it scored overall 4,200. On the on-die scored 4,078. PC Mark, of course, is going to tell you overall how your system performs, not just on video, but CPU, SSD, memory. Takes your entire system into account. All right, so then jumping on to Tomb Raider. Okay, this was a little, or should I say, a lot better here. On Mountain Peak, there was a 35.89% improvement. So 100% playable on Mountain Peak. On Syria, there was a 50.58% improvement, but at 41.81 frames per second. And I'll get to all that at the very end. On the Geothermal Valley, there was a 67.12% improvement. Still though, at 52.51%, it's not the magical 60 frames per second. The overall score, there was a 49.84% improvement, but at 52.23%. Again, I played through this, and I'll show you in a little bit. I played through it, and it was 100% playable, all the way from 30 to 50 something frames per second. And again, I'll go over this. Because now we're on a GPU, there was a 34% increase in temperature on the GPU. There was a 29.7% increase in maximum power consumption. And with that, an 18.70% increase in average power consumption. We've gone over, all the benchmark results and all that good stuff. Now, it might be a little bit better to show you some gameplay. All right, now getting to some gameplay, and I do apologize that it says activate Windows down at the bottom right-hand corner. I haven't put in the key just yet, just making sure that everything's good. Now, the games that we play here are going to be the games that she actually likes. So, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Metro Exodus, I won't even bother. She didn't ask, I just did that for benchmarking. Minecraft and Fortnite. Alright, so let's go ahead, start off with Minecraft real quick. And I do have the frame rates showing on the screen. I'm also using a speaker right now for sound because I'm having some issue right now capturing the audio, and it's all in configuration, but I'll just show you real quick. Okay, so we can see here 116, but of course that's not the game. Now I am using the Creative Roar for audio for my speakers. We can see here we're getting consistent over 100 frames per second. I am not a Minecraft player. Again, I'm doing it just for her. Now, when I was testing this on on-die CPUs, or on-die graphics, I should say, sorry about that, it was hurting a little bit. I had to come over here, I had to go into options, video settings, and this was at fast. So that was hurting. I dropped off a few other things, the render difference or distance, and let's go ahead and raise that a little bit. Let's see, raise the particles to all. Okay, so we're still seeing 100 and something frames per second. And clouds. Didn't I change the clouds? Let's see. Fancy clouds. There we go. Maybe, yeah, there are the clouds over there. But we can see everything is still totally playable. Alright, and again, guys, this is a budget PC. A little less extreme than it was earlier, but she's playing beautiful. Alright, so that's just to show you some Minecraft. Alright, let's get out of there. Alright, now let's jump into some Fortnite. For Fortnite, I did put it originally at the lowest settings, but actually, I don't remember if I raised them. I'll go ahead and do that real quick here while I have you guys on video. Alright, so we can see in the 60s, we drop down to 50 sometimes, but the game is totally playable. And because we're not in a real match, doesn't matter that he's shooting me. So let's see what I have the settings at real quick. Alright, I have them at medium, and it looks great, plays great. Let's jump into a round real quick. Alright, so I'm not going to play a real round, just to show you guys how it looks, how it plays. Running very nicely. Look at that. And because I don't have surround sound, I don't know where they're coming from. I just have the speaker to the right of me. Well. Anyway, all right. So just showing you that real quick. You can see that looks and plays great. Come on, let's get out of here. And now let's jump into Rise of the Tomb Raider. And I'll show you the settings in 1 second as well. Alright, so we'll load game. Alright, so we can see while we are at 45%, it is totally playable. So let me go ahead and just come over here and jump across real quick. Alright, and let me show you these settings real quick. Okay, we are at lowest at 1920 by 1080. Again, we can see here the Radeon RX 550. So she's playing great. Again, not at 60 frames per second. Whoops. But again, I think it is because it is a port. Good thing she didn't use the ice pick, right?
You're gonna give me a heart attack. Are you okay?
Yeah. Come on.
So, and mind you, it wasn't only this level I played. I went through 3 different levels to the one that you end up in the temple, and you're swimming around and shooting things down and everything, and probably most of the game, but so it's not just this screen or this level.
If the weather turns, we can hold up in this game.
And the entire time it played beautifully.
Do you really think we'll find this lost city?
I know this is a long shot.
So let me jump out of here real quick. Now let me show you the software I was talking about that actually unlocked that 4th core, the AMD Ryzen Master. Now, I didn't make any changes to it whatsoever, but I had to download it in order to utilize that 4th core. Not entirely sure why, but regardless, I just wanted to show you that real quick, and just so that you can see we are at stock speeds. Okay, we can see we're at stock speeds right over here. We're not overclocked whatsoever, and same with video. We are not overclocked at all. Everything is stock. Again, just to make supporting so much easier. All right, let's come back over here to the system real quick. All right, guys, so you can see the performance that I showed you when it was just the CPU and the Vega 8 that's on die. And then you can also see the performance of that same CPU with the RX 550. So definitely an improvement. Mind you, it's not going to be the biggest and the best machine, but for under $600 or with a keyboard and a mouse, $632, it is an awesome system. With that, you have room to upgrade as well. On that machine, we do have an AMD Ryzen 3 2200 processor Then also a Gigabyte B450M DS3H motherboard, a Thermaltake Versa H15 SPCC case, along with a Patriot Viper Elite Series DDR4 2x4 gig sticks at 2400 megahertz, a Kingston 240 gigabyte A400 SSD, as well as an EVGA 500 watt W1 power supply, Windows 10 Home, and then a ViewSonic VA2055 SA. It's not that particular monitor, but I am running it at 1920 by 1080, and both are 60 hertz. Again, the keyboard and mouse that I'm using are not the ones that are included. They have their own, but I went ahead and put these in there just to make it a much more complete system. That's all that was missing. So with the keyboard and mouse, $534. With the keyboard and mouse adding the video card, it's going to be $632. Now, without the keyboard and mouse, it's going to be, and the video card, including the video card, I should say, it's going to be $583. So if you have your own keyboard and mouse, perfect. If you have your own monitor, it'll be even cheaper than that. So it definitely is a great budget build that gives you some room to upgrade. Now, mind you, you can pick and choose. I have a list of all the parts in the description below, but you can pick and choose your own parts if you want parts cheaper or more expensive. There you go. But I wanted to give you guys just a rundown of an extreme budget PC. Is it worth it? Is it not? Totally up to you guys. I think it's worth it because, again, it does give you the ability to upgrade. You can go on a higher processor, a higher amount of RAM, a bigger SSD, a faster SSD, bigger and better monitor, and bigger and better video card. Gives you a lot of room. But anyway, this is Iggy again, just doing an extreme budget PC that I did have to up the video card on, but it is still a budget PC. Iggy out. See you guys.
Products in this video were provided to the author to do a review. All opinions are 100% authors and authors alone.